The hum of the airport's VIP lounge was soft, elegant, the kind of background silence money knows how to buy. Leather seats, champagne glasses clinking lightly, faint classical music drifting from hidden speakers. And right in the center of it all sat Diana Williams, legs crossed, posture calm, eyes steady on the rim of the simple coffee cup she held. She didn't look like someone trying to stand out. She wore a modest blazer, comfortable trousers, and the same watch she'd owned for years. She wasn't there for attention. She had come to catch a flight. Nothing more. Nothing less. But Richard Thornton, her ex-husband, couldn't resist a stage when he saw one. He stood in front of her like a king inspecting a peasant, champagne in hand, arrogance dripping from every word. "Are you sure you belong here?" he said loudly enough for every set of eyes in the lounge to lift. His new wife, a platinum blonde with nails sharper than her voice, held up her phone to record, giggling behind the screen like she was filming a comedy skit. Diana didn't react. Not yet. She simply breathed in slowly, thinking how strange it was that after all these years, Richard's voice still carried the same emptiness behind the noise. "Seriously. D," he continued, using the old nickname now twisted into mockery. "This place is for people of a certain level, you know? People who can afford to be here." He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough for the attack to feel personal. "Don't you think the common waiting area fits you better?" Every passenger felt the shift in the air. A few uncomfortable glances. A few amused smirks. Everyone recognizing this was no ordinary encounter, it was a show, and Richard loved being the star. His new wife added another blow with a fake sweet smile. "Maybe she cleans here. It's honest work." Diana squeezed her handbag strap gently. A tiny movement. The only sign she'd heard anything at all. 5 years. 5 long years since that divorce where Richard made sure she walked away with nothing but a small settlement, her dignity, and a 2-square-meter office she could barely afford. He'd laughed at her attempt to start a consulting service. He'd said it was a child's hobby, a fantasy. What Richard never understood, what he never even tried to understand, was that humiliation creates 2 kinds of people, those who break, and those who rise. Diana had risen, but she wasn't going to reveal that. Not yet. There was something about watching arrogance collapse on its own that had its own quiet beauty. Richard walked around her chair like a man circling prey. "You've always been good at pretending, Diana, pretending to belong, pretending to understand business, pretending you were important." He turned to the lounge. "She even used to follow me to company dinners, tried to blend with real people." His wife laughed again, repositioning her phone. "Tell them about her make-believe company." Diana closed her eyes for a moment, not in shame, but in a soft, patient silence. She had spent thousands of hours in silence like this, building strategies, taking risks, guiding small businesses toward success, letting her results speak for her long before her words ever needed to. But Richard mistook her pause for weakness. "Oh yes. Williams Consulting," he said, waving his hand dramatically. Her office was the size of a closet. She probably made less per month than I spent on wine. A few people murmured uncomfortably. Someone shifted in their chair. Someone else shook their head. Diana finally lifted her gaze to meet his, calm, unbothered, powerful in a way that didn't need to be loud. "I'm waiting for my flight." "Richard," she said. He barked a laugh. "Your flight? To where? Back to whatever tiny apartment you're still pretending is a lifestyle choice?" He nudged his wife. "Honey, show her our destination." "We're going to the Bahamas on his parents' jet," the blonde bragged. "Not even first class." Diana simply checked her watch. The moment was coming. She could feel it. Her flight would be ready soon. And when it arrived, the world Richard believed he controlled, the world he thought she didn't belong in, would shatter like cheap glass. But for now, she let him continue. Let him empty the last drops of cruelty he had carried for years. "You should have stayed in your lane," he said. "I built everything I have. You just rode along until I kicked you off." A silver-haired woman across the room gave Diana a sympathetic look. A man reading the financial section of a newspaper lowered it slightly, clearly annoyed. And Diana? She just smiled inside. A soft, invisible smile. He had no idea. Well? Richard demanded. Nothing to say? No fantasy to share about how much money you pretend to have now? She finally stood, smoothing her blazer with elegant precision. She looked straight at him, her eyes holding no fear. No anger, just truth. You're right about something, she said softly. I don't have an 8-figure net worth. Richard grinned, triumphant. Then Diana delivered the sentence that made the entire lounge freeze. I have 9. The room fell silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Richard stared. His wife blinked, confused. What did you just say? He asked. Diana didn't answer. She didn't need to, because right at that moment an airport employee hurried inside, scanning the room until her eyes landed on Diana. Ms. Williams, she said politely. Your jet crew is ready for you. Mr. Morrison is on his way to escort you. The name was enough to punch the air out of Richard's lungs. David Morrison. The most elite corporate attorney on the East Coast. A man who didn't work with anyone worth less than $100 million. Richard felt the floor tilt beneath him. There's some mistake, he stuttered. She can't even afford a lawyer, but the employee wasn't listening to him. She was waiting for Diana. Diana picked up her handbag gently. Her movements slow, deliberate, powerful. Richard's world was unraveling, and it had barely begun. Rosa held her breath as Jessica leaned over the twins' cribs, whispering something Rosa couldn't make out. The babies stirred restlessly, tiny hands clenching. Rosa's heart pounded so loudly she feared Jessica would hear it through the door. When Jessica suddenly straightened and turned toward the hallway, Rosa pulled back from the crack just in time, pressing herself against the wall as footsteps came closer. Jessica walked past the door slowly, almost as if she were listening for someone hiding. Rosa didn't dare move. Her palms were sweating, her fingers trembling around her apron. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She checked the screen. Mr. Williams again. She answered instantly, but kept her voice low. Sir, please hurry. She's acting strange. She keeps touching their blankets, moving things around. I'm scared something will happen before you get here. I'm 10 minutes away, he said, his voice tight with panic. Stay near the kids. Don't confront her. Just watch her. Rosa swallowed hard. Yes, sir. I'll do my best. She slipped quietly down the hall and stopped outside the nursery again. Jessica had returned, humming softly now, the kind of lullaby that made Rosa's skin crawl. The tune sounded wrong, too slow, too cold. The twins whimpered again, and Jessica's voice sharpened. You're going to be perfect. Both of you. Just like he wants. Rosa felt her stomach twist. Who was he? She leaned closer, careful not to creak the floorboards. Jessica lifted one of the twins into her arms, holding the baby too tightly. Your father thinks he can replace me, she whispered. But he doesn't understand. I've always been here. I've always been the one who knew what's right for this family. Rosa nearly gasped. She covered her mouth, forcing herself to stay silent. A car door slammed outside. Jessica froze. Rosa froze. Then heavy footsteps rushed toward the front entrance. Jessica quickly placed the baby back into the crib and backed away. He's early, she said, almost to herself, her breathing quickening. He wasn't supposed to come yet. Rosa stepped into the middle of the hallway, ready to block the door if she had to. She didn't know where her courage came from, only that she couldn't let anything happen to those children. Jessica appeared in the doorway, her eyes sharp and cold. Were you listening? She asked quietly. Rosa's throat tightened. I'm just doing my job. Jessica smiled, slow and unsettling. Yes, your job. She walked toward Rosa, each step deliberate. And my job is to protect this family. Even from people who think they know better. Before Rosa could respond, the front door flung open. Jessica! Mr. Williams shouted, storming inside. Jessica stiffened, her smile breaking apart. Rosa felt a wave of relief so powerful her knees almost buckled. But then Jessica whispered under her breath, You came too soon. Mr. Williams didn't hear it. Rosa did. And she knew the trouble had only just begun. Jessica stepped back as Mr. Williams rushed past her into the nursery, checking both twins with shaking hands. They were safe, frightened, but unharmed. Rosa stayed in the doorway, watching Jessica closely. Something in Jessica's eyes had changed. The calm mask was slipping, revealing something unhinged beneath. "Why were you in their room again?" Mr. Williams demanded. Jessica tilted her head. "Because someone has to make decisions when you're not here." Rosa felt the air tighten. Mr. Williams turned toward her, worry etched across his face. Rosa opened her mouth to speak, but Jessica spoke first, and her words chilled them both. Jessica stepped into the room fully, her hands clasped in front of her as if she were the calmest person there. But her eyes were sharp, watching every breath the twins took. "You think I don't see what's happening?" she said softly. "You think I don't know why she pointed at Rosa, keeps spying on me?" Rosa swallowed hard, but Mr. Williams stepped between them. "Jessica, stop. You shouldn't be anywhere near the kids right now." Jessica let out a trembling laugh. "Your kids? You barely know them. You barely look at them unless someone calls you. I'm the one who stays here. I'm the one who understands what they need. You left everything to me." Mr. Williams stiffened. "I left you here to help, not to take over." "That's the problem," Jessica whispered, stepping closer. "You left me long before that." Rosa felt her heart skip. There it was, the truth she had suspected for weeks. This wasn't about the children. This was about Jessica losing the control she believed she had. Mr. Williams held up a hand. "Jessica, I'm asking you calmly. Leave the room." Jessica's smile twitched. "You're asking me?" Her eyes flicked to the twins, then back to him. "What if I say no?" Rosa moved quickly to the cribs, gently picking up the nearest baby before Jessica could. "Please," Rosa murmured, rocking the child. "Don't make this worse." Jessica's stare darkened. "You don't get to hold them. Put him back." "No," Mr. Williams said firmly. "She's helping. Step back." For a moment, no one breathed. Jessica's fingers curled, her jaw shifting like she was fighting with herself. Then she whispered, "He told me this would happen." Rosa froze. "Who?" she asked quietly. Jessica blinked, her thoughts racing. "The one who understands me. The one who said you'd all turn against me." Mr. Williams's voice dropped. "Jessica, you need help." That single sentence changed her completely. Her face hardened. "So that's it. I'm the problem. I'm the danger." She nodded slowly, eyes glistening. "Fine, if you think I'm the monster. I'll show you exactly what monsters do." Rosa backed up, clutching the baby close as Jessica spun toward the hallway. Mr. Williams lunged to stop her, but she slipped past him like a shadow. The house erupted into chaos, footsteps pounding, doors opening, lights flickering as she moved through rooms with frantic energy. Rosa's breath shook as she rushed toward the living room, trying to keep both babies safe. Mr. Williams shouted her name over and over, trying to corner her, but Jessica kept disappearing, reappearing, muttering to someone who wasn't there. Then she returned to the hallway, standing perfectly still, her eyes empty. "You brought this on yourself," she whispered. Rosa felt a cold dread crawl up her spine. Jessica lifted something in her hand, and Rosa realized this wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Jessica stood in the hallway, gripping something small and metallic. Rosa couldn't see clearly from her angle, but Mr. Williams did. His face went pale. "Jessica, put that down." Jessica tilted her head, the overhead light catching the object, his spare basement key. "I told you," she whispered, her voice trembling with something dangerous and broken. "You never listen to me. You never hear what I say until it's too late." Rosa shifted the baby in her arms and tried to stay calm. "Jessica, no one is against you. We're just trying to understand." "You can't understand?" Jessica snapped. Her voice cracked like shattered glass. "You all think I'm crazy. You think I'm imagining things. But I've been protecting them from the beginning. Before they were even born." Mr. Williams stepped closer. Jessica, we appreciate what you did before, but you're not thinking clearly. Those are my children, and you're scaring them. Scaring them? Jessica let out a laugh, sharp and hollow. No, what's scaring them is you showing up pretending you care. Her eyes flicked toward the nursery door. They sense everything. Babies always know who really loves them. Rosa felt the baby fuss and held him tighter. Jessica, she said softly, please let's talk calmly. Just tell us what you think is happening. Jessica's fingers tightened on the key. He told me they aren't safe. Mr. Williams frowned. Who told you? You wouldn't believe me, Jessica whispered. You never believed me. Try me, he said. Jessica's chest rose and fell quickly, her breath shaking. You left me alone in this house for months. You trusted me with everything. And then one day he started speaking to me. A voice I didn't recognize. He said someone would come. Someone who wants to take the children away and destroy everything. And look at you now, bringing her here. She gestured wildly at Rosa, letting her whisper things in your ear. Rosa almost dropped the baby. Jessica, I've never... Liar! Jessica screamed, her voice echoing through the hallway. I heard you on the phone? I heard everything. Mr. Williams held up both hands slowly, cautiously. Jessica, listen to me. You're not well. That voice isn't real. You don't know what's real. Jessica shot back, shaking. You think I'm losing it? Maybe I am, but at least I'm losing it for them. She pointed toward the nursery. Not for you. Rosa saw tears in Jessica's eyes, now not gentle tears, but furious, burning ones. The kind that came from months of bottled chaos. Mr. Williams stepped sideways, trying to get closer without startling her. Jessica, the key. What do you want with the basement? Jessica's lips curved into a slow smile. You locked things down there I wasn't supposed to see. His breath caught. Jessica, the drawings, she whispered. The notes. The ones you thought I wouldn't find? Rosa's eyes widened. What drawings? Jessica laughed again, the sound unsteady. He was planning to leave us. Planning to take them away. Planning to replace me. That's what he said in the notes. Mr. Williams shook his head violently. Those were old plans before everything changed. They were never meant for you to find. And you think that makes it better? Jessica whispered. You think I didn't know? You think I didn't notice how cold you became? How distant? How guilty? She stepped backward toward the basement door. Mr. Williams moved fast. Jessica, don't open that door. Why? She breathed. Afraid of what she see? She glanced at Rosa with wide, desperate eyes. Afraid she know the truth too? Jessica stopped right there, but she didn't. With one swift motion, she plunged the key into the lock and twisted. The door creaked open slowly, darkness yawning behind it like a mouth about to swallow the entire house. Jessica stepped inside halfway, staring into the blackness as though listening to someone whisper from below. He said this is where it begins, she murmured. Rosa's heartbeat hammered in her ears. Jessica, please come back into the light. Jessica turned her head slightly, just enough for both of them to see the strange, peaceful smile spreading across her face. You're too late. He's already here. Suddenly she flicked a light switch. A dim, flickering bulb revealed the staircase leading down. And then she ran. Straight down the stairs, Mr. Williams shouted her name and lunged after her. Rosa gasped, clutching both babies as she backed into the hallway wall, fearing what Jessica would do once she reached whatever she believed was waiting in that basement. The sound of footsteps, shouting, something crashing against the walls. Below, it shook the entire floor. Rosa held the twins close, her hands trembling, her breath uneven. And she prayed Mr. Williams would come back up those stairs before. Jessica did. Rosa tightened her grip on the babies as the noise from the basement grew louder thuds. Sharp bangs, something metallic scraping against the concrete. She wanted to run down there and help, but her legs refused to move, fear rooting her to the hallway. She kept her eyes on the basement door. praying that the next person to emerge wouldn't be Jessica. A sudden crash echoed from below, and Rosa flinched. "Sir?" she called out shakily, her voice barely above a whisper. There was no answer, just more scrambling, as if someone was pushing furniture or pulling things from shelves. Then everything went silent. The house froze with that silence. Even the twins stopped fussing, as if sensing something had changed. Rosa took one cautious step toward the basement door. "Mr. Williams?" she said again, trying to steady her voice. Still nothing. She glanced behind her toward the nursery, making sure the path was clear in case she needed to run. She held her breath and listened. Slow footsteps began climbing the stairs, but they were slow. Too slow. A shadow moved on the wall first. Rosa's heart pounded painfully against her ribs. She backed up again, rocking the babies to keep them calm. Then Mr. Williams appeared, breathless, pale, gripping the banister like he barely had strength left. She's not listening," he gasped, wiping sweat from his forehead. "She's destroying everything down there. Every box, every document. She thinks it's all proof against her." Rosa's fear deepened. "Sir, what is she looking for? What does she think is down there?" He shook his head. "She believes someone is talking to her, guiding her. She keeps yelling that I hid things from her, that the voice told her to uncover the truth." He leaned against the wall, chest rising and falling in heavy breaths. "I can't reason with her." A sudden shriek ripped from the basement, raw, furious, echoing like it came from someone who had crossed the edge. Rosa felt the twins shiver in her arms. Mr. Williams grabbed her wrist. "Take them to the car, now?" Rosa blinked. "And leave you here with her?" "I'll handle Jessica. Just get them out." Before Rosa could respond, Jessica's voice rose again. Footsteps pounding up the stairs, now not slow this time, but fast, frantic. Unhinged, Mr. Williams pushed Rosa toward the front door. "Go!" But Rosa only managed 2 steps before Jessica burst out of the basement, hair wild, eyes wide and filled with a feverish shine. She held torn papers in her hands, pieces of drawings ripped apart. "You lied to me," she screamed, her voice cracking. "You promised you wouldn't take them away." Mr. Williams raised both hands. "Jessica, stop. You're hurting yourself. Please just put the papers down." "They were going to leave me," she cried, waving the shredded pages. "You were planning to move them, take them far away, start over without me. You wrote it?" "I saw it." "Jessica," he said carefully, "those were old drafts. I didn't use them. I didn't take a step. I stayed. I tried to help you, but you pushed everyone away." Jessica shook her head violently. "No, no, no, no. You don't get to twist it." She suddenly locked her eyes on Rosa. "She's the one who wants them gone. She wants to take my place." Rosa held the babies protectively, taking a cautious step backward. "Jessica, I don't want anything. I'm just here to help. Please believe me." But Jessica's face twisted in pain and anger, her breathing uneven. "You think I don't see the way he looks at you? The way he trusts you over me?" She took another step forward, voice trembling. "You want him to choose you?" Mr. Williams stepped in front of Rosa. "Jessica, enough." Jessica's lip quivered. "I did everything for this family, everything." Tears pooled in her eyes but never fell. "And you reward me by pushing me out? Calling me sick? Acting like I'm dangerous?" He spoke gently. "Jessica, you grabbed our child earlier. You were whispering to voices. You broke into the basement. You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking clearly for the first time," she shouted. "He told me the truth." Mr. Williams hardened. "There is no he. That voice isn't real." Jessica stopped breathing for a moment. Her chest froze. Her eyes widened with a strange calm settling over her like frost. "If the voice isn't real," she whispered, "then why does he always know what you're about to do?" She suddenly smiled, a slow, unsettling smile, then turned and ran deeper into the house before either of them could react. Mr. Williams swore under his breath and sprinted after her. Rosa had no choice. She followed, clutching the twins as she moved through the hallway. heart racing so fast she thought it might burst. They found Jessica in the living room, standing completely still, staring at the large window overlooking the dark yard. One hand rested on the glass, fingertips trembling. "He said you'd come here," Jessica murmured. "He told me you'd try to stop me." Mr. Williams approached carefully. "Jessica, what are you planning to do?" She turned her head slowly, tears finally spilling from her eyes. "Something I should have done the moment she walked into this house." Her gaze locked on Rosa. Rosa's body went cold. Mr. Williams moved faster than ever before, stepping between them as Jessica lunged forward, not with a weapon, but with raw desperation, hands reaching. Mind unraveling, he grabbed her wrists, struggling to hold her back as she thrashed wildly. "Stop, Jessica, stop this!" Rosa backed up with the twins, breathing hard, tears forming in her eyes. "Sir, she's going to hurt herself." Jessica screamed, a heartbreaking sound of betrayal and confusion. "He said you would ruin everything. He said you would take them away from me." "No one is taking them," Mr. Williams said, his voice breaking. "But this has to end." Jessica's strength faltered. She sagged in his grip, sobbing now, shaking uncontrollably. "I just wanted to be part of their lives. I just wanted to matter." "You do," he whispered, holding her carefully. "But not like this. Not like this." Jessica cried into his shoulder, breath hitching, body trembling. "I didn't mean to scare them. I didn't mean to be this way." Rosa slowly stepped forward, her voice barely audible. "Jessica, it's okay. You're not alone." For the first time, Jessica looked at Rosa without anger. Just exhaustion, pain, confusion. She opened her mouth to speak, but the twins began crying loudly. Startling all three of them, Jessica's eyes darted toward the babies, then back to Mr. Williams, fear crossing her face. "I didn't hurt them, did I? Tell me I didn't." "No," he said firmly. "You didn't?" Jessica exhaled shakily and closed her eyes in relief. Sirens sounded faintly in the distance. Jessica froze. Rosa and Mr. Williams exchanged a look, one of heartbreak and inevitability. Jessica whispered, her voice breaking, "You called them, didn't you?" Mr. Williams didn't answer. Jessica nodded slowly as tears poured down her face. "Then, this really is the end." Rosa felt tears spill down her cheeks too as she gently rocked the babies, who were still crying. Jessica sank to her knees on the floor, and part two ended with the sound of sirens growing louder, and a family shattered in ways none of them had seen coming. Asterisk. The sirens grew louder until red and blue lights washed over the living room walls, flashing across Jessica's tear-streaked face as she knelt on the floor. She didn't fight. She didn't run. She simply stared at the carpet, breathing in short, broken gasps, as if every ounce of strength had poured out of her all at once. Rosa held the twins close, stepping back as two officers entered through the front door Mr. Williams had left unlocked. One officer approached slowly, his voice calm and steady as he asked Jessica to stand. She lifted her head but didn't move. Mr. Williams helped her up gently, and she leaned on him as if she no longer knew how to walk on her own. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," Jessica whispered, her voice barely carrying. "I thought I was protecting them. I thought someone was guiding me." "It's over now," he said softly, not unkind. "Just let 'em help you." Jessica nodded weakly and allowed the officers to take her hands. She didn't resist when they led her toward the door. Halfway across the living room, she stopped and turned her head toward Rosa. Her eyes were empty, not angry, not hateful, just lost. "Take care of them," she murmured. Rosa's heart ached. "I will," she promised. Then Jessica stepped outside into the cold night, and the door closed behind her. Silence settled heavy over the house, broken only by the twins' soft whimpering. Rosa carried them to the couch and gently rocked them until their cries quieted. Mr. Williams stood in the middle of the room, staring at the closed door, his face pale, his shoulders trembling. "She wasn't always like this," he said quietly. "She used to be kind, loyal, bright, somewhere along the way. She slipped, and I didn't see it." I didn't want to see it. Rosa didn't speak. She let him sit beside her, both of them watching the babies as if the world outside no longer mattered. After a long silence, he whispered, I should have gotten her help earlier. Before it reached this point, Rosa placed a gentle hand on his arm. You tried? You stayed calm? You protected the children. That matters. He nodded slowly, but guilt still clouded his eyes. She thinks I betrayed her, and now she's going to face everything alone. No, Rosa said softly. She won't be alone. She has doctors, counselors, people who know how to help someone who's drowning inside their own mind. The words comforted him, if only a little. The night wore on. The officers finally left after taking statements. The house felt hollow, echoing with the absence of the chaos that had filled it for so many days. Rosa laid each twin in their crib, watching their tiny chests rise and fall with steady breaths. The quiet felt fragile, like a glass that could shatter if touched. When she stepped back into the living room, she found Mr. Williams sitting with his head in his hands. She hesitated before walking to him. She loved them in her own way, he said without looking up. A twisted, confused way, but still love. Rosa nodded. Sometimes love gets lost in fear. She wasn't evil. She was hurting. He raised his head, eyes red. Thank you for being here, for keeping the babies safe, for not giving up on us. Rosa offered a tired smile. They're like my own. I'd never let anything happen to them. He stared at her for a moment, absorbing her words, then exhaled deeply. There's going to be a lot to fix. This house, this family. Then take it one day at a time, she said. Don't rush. Don't blame yourself. Just focus on keeping the twins safe and giving them peace. He nodded again, slower this time, as if the weight on his chest had lessened, even if just by a fraction. Hours later, when the house finally felt safe again, Rosa checked on the twins one more time. They were sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm that had just passed. As she turned to leave the nursery, she caught sight of something, one of the twins' blankets folded neatly, the edges tucked with unnecessary precision. A small detail. A gentle touch. Jessica's touch. A sign that she had truly loved them even as her mind unraveled. Rosa reached out and smoothed the edge of the blanket, whispering under her breath, I hope you find peace, Jessica. When she stepped into the hallway, the house felt different, not broken, but recovering. As if the darkness Jessica carried had finally left, giving the walls room to breathe again. Mr. Williams appeared beside her. They're safe, he said quietly. Yes, Rosa replied, and they will stay safe. He looked at her with a tired but grateful expression, then nodded. The night ended slowly, with dawn beginning to lighten the sky. A new beginning. A painful one, but a beginning nonetheless. And although Jessica's presence no longer filled the rooms, her absence echoed with lessons they would carry forever about love, fear, trust, and the thin line between protection and losing yourself in the shadows of your own mind. Part 3 closed with the house finally quiet, the danger gone, and the future beginning to heal. Days passed, and the house settled into a quiet rhythm, a rhythm Rosa hadn't heard in weeks. The tension that had once clung to every corner slowly lifted, replaced by a fragile calmness. Still, shadows lingered, memories of Jessica's voice echoing down hallways, her fearful whispers, her trembling hands clutching things she believed were signs. But the babies were safe. That was all that mattered. On the fourth morning after the incident, Mr. Williams sat at the dining table holding a cup of coffee he hadn't touched. His eyes were tired, but clearer than before, the fog of shock slowly lifting. Rosa walked in holding one of the twins, bouncing him gently on her hip. You should rest, she said, noticing the dark circles beneath his eyes. I can't sleep, he admitted honestly. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her voice. I keep thinking, what if I handled it differently? What if I confronted her earlier? What if I didn't leave her alone so often? Rosa shook her head. What happened wasn't your fault. She was struggling long before she said anything. And she hid it because she didn't want you to worry. Mr. Williams looked at the floor. I never imagined she would break like that. No one imagines it, Rosa said softly. People who need help usually hide their pain the deepest. He nodded slowly, taking in her words. Later that afternoon, they received a call from the mental health facility where Jessica was being treated. The doctor assured Mr. Williams she was stable, calm, and responding to treatment. She wasn't violent. She wasn't confused anymore. She was simply exhausted mentally and emotionally drained from carrying too much alone. After he ended the call, he stood in silence for a long moment before speaking. She asked if the babies were okay. Rosa felt a lump form in her throat. She still cares. She always did, he whispered. She just lost herself somewhere along the way. That evening, Rosa walked through the nursery, straightening the blankets, adjusting the mobile, humming softly to the twins. The house no longer felt haunted. Instead, it felt like a place trying to heal slowly. Piece by piece, Mr. Williams appeared at the doorway, leaning against the frame. Rosa, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to, she said without looking up. I did what anyone with a heart would do. No, he said firmly. Not everyone would have stood in front of Jessica. Not everyone would have stayed when she was shouting. You kept my children safe. You saved them. Rosa gently placed one twin in the crib, then turned toward him. You saved them too. You protected them even when everything was falling apart. He exhaled deeply. I'm just, grateful. More than I can say. The twins began drifting to sleep, tiny breaths slow and steady. Rosa and Mr. Williams watched them for a moment, the quiet comforting rather than frightening this time. The night didn't feel heavy anymore. As Rosa stepped out of the nursery, Mr. Williams walked beside her. What happens now? She asked. We move forward, he replied. We make sure the kids grow up safe. We rebuild the peace we lost. And Jessica? Rosa asked carefully. She get the help she needed long before this, he said. And when she's well, we'll decide what role she can have. But only if it's safe. For everyone? Rosa nodded. It was the right answer, sad but right. Later, when the house was finally quiet and the twins asleep, Rosa stepped outside to breathe in the cool night air. The sky was clear, the moon casting a soft glow across the yard. For the first time in a long while, she felt the weight lift from her chest. She thought about Jessica, broken, frightened, overwhelmed. She hoped the doctors could give her the peace she never found inside that house. She thought about the twins, innocent, fragile, unaware of the storm that had swirled around them. They would grow up safe now. She thought about Mr. Williams trying to hold a family together while grieving the fall of someone he once trusted. Rosa closed her eyes and whispered a quiet prayer for all of them. Inside, Mr. Williams watched from the doorway, a small, grateful smile touching his face. He knew things were finally changing slowly, but in the right direction. And for the first time, the house felt alive again. Not perfect, not healed, but beginning. Rosa stepped back inside, closing the door gently behind her. And that night, for the first time in a long time, everyone slept in peace. The story ended not with fear or chaos, but with something far more powerful, a quiet beginning.